The Western world has a particularly negative view of North Korea. They are the barbaric other, a violent totalitarian regime, the bastion of absolute evil on the world stage. It's especially prevalent in our media and art, where the DPRK is constantly depicted as a nation operating between two warring oxymoronic states of being. They are both the weakest, poorest country, devastated by bad economic policies that have led to famine and ruin, but they're also the most dangerous, a nuclear military power, an irrational actor whose very existence threatens us all. So much of what we understand about North Korea is through a lack of knowledge about the going-ons of the everyday lives of the people governed there, and it's allowed reductive depictions of their nation to fester in the West. A population of real people become reduced to the perception surrounding their leadership, the brainwashed, the manipulated, the unwell. It's an uncomfortable framework that looks back especially hypocritically on the history of the Western countries who've wielded it. Perhaps we should look to the art for guidance, as we always have done, a process that in turn unveils a kind of beauty that speaks to the country's political history, cultural values, and above all else, their humanity. Their print work is revelatory in this regard, often focusing on the physical land and topology of North Korea itself, from beautiful naturalistic landscapes depicting sun and moonlight shimmering off the waters, to expansive farms, fields, and grasslands, winding roads cutting through vast mountainous valleys. There's a serene, amiable quality to the Korean countryside, one that's rarely depicted empty, its lands populated by its people, either at rest, one with the stillness that surrounds them, or at work in the midst of hard agricultural labor. We're reminded that the beauty we bear witness to is one taking place within a land the Korean people are in constant struggle with, in a society built around farming and agriculture, with only 20% arable land. The country's own physical struggle is reflected through their environment. In these works, great emphasis is placed on the relationship between the natural world and the humans as stewards of it. In the frigid, mountainous regions, desolate and isolated, train conductors deliver vital resources, and in the idealized rural scenes of plentiful harvest and sheep and oxen roaming, women work the fields, bringing in crops from the rice, maize, and potato farms to their community. We're exposed to art that through every facet embraces collectivism as the solution to transcending the struggles of everyday life in North Korea. These principles were critical to the founding of North Korea's major art studio, Mansudae. Founded in 1959, 6 years after the Korean War, in the capital city Pyongyang, it's now home to over 4,000 art students, many prestigious graduates of Pyongyang University. They're mostly responsible for the Kim's modern visual aesthetic and prominence, the so-called cult of personality that the dynasty has embodied. Through their state directive, art produced in North Korea was positioned as needing to be inherently functional, capable of conveying the party's goals and beliefs. In the statues and paintings especially, we see much of this. Bold work with historic prominence, from the monument to the founding of the Korean Workers' Party to the Monsu Hill Grand Monument. Their staggering stature reveals as much about their socialist history as it does the ideologies birthed from the worship of their rulers. But in the North Korean print and linocut work, where the Kims are so often absent, we see another aspect of their nation emphasized: its people. It's within these intimate moments we see them for who they really are, the individuals that together keep Korean society in motion through perilous times and warring conflicts, depicted in the rigor and routine of their daily labor or work, while miners complete sections of underground irrigation tunnels to aid in delivering vital resources across the country. Deep sea divers lay foundations for the DPRK's largest hydroelectric power station. While farmers and field workers tend to rice and potato crops, scientists study those same crops in the lab, working towards agricultural breakthroughs to help combat famine and food shortages. There's a camaraderie in these works, inherently positive in nature, so perhaps an incomprehensive understanding of their lives, but still equally as moving, embodying the sloganeering of the party that places group interests over individuals. Women are shown in the scenes nearly as often as men, in the same dutiful roles, from research scientists to hard physical laborers to the front lines of battle. Equally worthy of their heroic depictions, we see in this East Asian rendition of socialist realism. In the Western context, these smiles seem like a band-aid on a bullet wound, an insistence on the part of the party that they enjoy the brutality of their struggle. But in the East, it epitomizes the culture of community, collectivism, and countrywide self-reliance that would manifest from the highest levels of the party to the people. This attitude of self-reliance is the basis of Juche, the one-man ideology that North Korea is centrally governed by. It was first established by Kim Il-sung, a former Soviet soldier in World War II who came to power after, and it served as both a guideline for ideology-related projects centered around self-reliance and eradicating dogmatism post-Stalin's death in the Soviet Union. Influenced by the military might they would necessarily build during the fracturing of the Korean War, it's a might that in art doesn't manifest as totalitarian strength or otherworldly dominant power, but as a vessel as integral to North Korea functioning as a society as any other workers depicted. From military training drills and tanks and aircrafts, to the camaraderie shown between commanders and subordinates, to their assimilation into everyday life, helping farmers and construction workers, celebrated by their people. We bear witness to a society built around this revolutionary fervor and strength found in depictions of men and women, young and old, whose sacrifices fought off both Japanese and American imperialism. It's important to place these military depictions in the context of North Korean history, from events like the arduous march or famine and Soviet dissolution of the 90s that spearheaded their isolationism, all the way back to the Korean War in the 50s, that saw America's involvement decimate the population, reducing nearly every North Korean city to rubble. Their work epitomizes perseverance through these struggles, and it's anchored in a kind of aesthetic and heroic iconography that's not just a reimagining of Soviet socialist realism, but an art form that's bathed in the light of their own storied culture. From Korean traditional holidays that emphasize community and the nostalgic imagery of rural everyday life, to their historic World Cup defeat of Italy in 1966, to their pastimes, shared meals, singing and dancing, house parties, cinema, fishing, and chess. In the backdrop of a harsh land and divided Korea, the people here hold space for celebration. It's in this work the position of artists as engineers of the human soul is fully revealed to us. The North Korean identity is given full breadth and consideration, and its recurring characters aren't solely actors positioned to propagandize the ideals of a North Korean party, but as humans who in these moments of commemoration and jubilee we can relate to and see parallels in our own life, our own communities. I think the individualism so concrete to Western societies has really robbed us of something. The ability to consider not just alternative modes of thought, but alternative modes of life, grounded in the connection with the physical lands we call home, where we found heroes in the individualistic, singularly otherworldly and powerful. In the gorgeous print art of the DPRK, they found heroes in the everyday people, who even in the midst of perilous warring times find cause to band together, to work off of their shared interests, else they'd be destroyed in the process. But most importantly, the thing I gain most from their art is the humanization of their people, a force so powerful it transforms the ways we conceptualize and consider the propagandic rigor beneath it. If their ordinary lives could produce a magnanimous vision of necessary collectivist collaboration through surmounting toils, then maybe our ordinary lives can as well. But it's not enough to be able to identify the work we call propagandic, the messaging underneath art that speaks to the dogmatic worldview ushered forth by any state. One must uncover their own propagandic biases, uncloud the lens through which they interact with and understand the world, one that over decades makes adversaries out of a people who really aren't so different from us. This is why the transformative power of art is so important to me. In it, we bear witness to the world not just how it is, but the world as it could be. A world that will be ushered forth not by rulers, lofty, ambitious, and removed from reality, but by the people, whose collective human soul, made fully tangible and sincere, is a force far more powerful than the nuclear bomb. Mind Theater is a solo effort produced and written by me, Ewa Kingbere. For only $3 a month, you can support the show on Patreon. It really helps a lot. The link is in the description box below. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.